Thank you very much. We really appreciate Cox sponsoring this theater here. Also want to thank AFCEA for putting on the event. My name's Andy Saladino. My colleague Sharon Mitchell, she's wonderful. She's the one who hired me. I've been teaching this course for 9 years, and I think you're up at how many years?
It'll be 15 in 2 weeks.
Wow. So we've been doing this a while. Some folks are like, hey, you get bored? Absolutely not. So many things change. There's so much to learn. And we really love meeting, the finest in the world, our mission partners that we support. We spend a lot of time, and a lot of the things that, probably one of the most things thing that we hear most often when we teach this 3-day DISA course around the world is, I didn't realize that DISA does so many things. So many things that you all do. And we love going to our mission partners saying, hey, here's what we do. Here's how we can help you. If there's anything you don't see, let us know, and we'll try our best to get it to you. So, we work very closely with industry. As you know, industry is crucial for us. I came from industry before I worked for DISA here. I was with one of the major wireless providers. So it's been fascinating coming to DoD and trying to learn the acronyms. Oh my God, how many acronyms are there? So, I was thinking, gosh, there are many things that we do behind the scenes to secure our network, to provide services. And I had a laugh this morning. All right, my boss is here. I got to be careful. I looked up on the shelf where I'm staying, and there's a bottle of shampoo. And the bottle said, no poo. No poo, P-O-O. And I looked at it, and I'm like, it only took me a minute. I said, that's a good thing, right? I'm glad that somebody took the time to analyze the bottle, and I don't know what it is. I don't know in whatever language it was, but I can imagine the marketing. We have scanned your shampoo. Your shampoo is secure. So we're glad to be part of the wide world of industry, working on making their products safe and secure. So what we'll do here, we're going to run through kind of quickly. So we take 3 days of material, kind of marry it down and combine it and make it turn into about 45 to 50 minutes of the overview of DISA, who we are, what we do, what we bring to mission partners. So for you, I know there are a lot of industry folks here. If you have questions, let us know. So let's see. She has a clicker. This is just a real quick slide on what the 3-day course is, what we go over. So we talk about DISA in general, the organization, the DISN, our network that supports our products and services, DISA operations, and that deals more with operating, assuring the network. The next segment, kind of the second day, we really get heavily into the DISA services. The best place for you to go if you want to learn more about DISA is our website, disa.mil. Okay, many of the services that we cover here, you can find more information, more details, where to go for more information, and if you're a mission partner and you're interested in getting the service, where to go for help and how to make that happen. That's right on our website. So we have a number of different categories: network services, enterprise and computing services, cybersecurity services. We also talk a little bit about getting connected to the network, which is really crucial. If you want to learn more about our 3-day course, that's the link to our website. That's on disa.mil. If you just scroll to the bottom and click on training, we're the first course there.
And also the brochure that's on your seat is the brochure for our 3-day course. So we can't really talk about one of the goals of this briefing is to give you a flavor of our 3-day course, and we can't really go through the services without really covering a little bit of the organization. So you've seen the organization charts. We won't spend a lot of time here, but I will look at this from a mission partner perspective. So our DISA director is the director of DISA. Okay, so he's looking at the DISN and the services that DISA offers, but he's also the commander of jfhq-dodin, and the distinction there is jfhq-dodin is looking at the entire DoD infrastructure used for communicating by DoD. So the DoDin includes the mission partner networks, not just the DISN, which is the DISA managed portion of that larger infrastructure. And we have a slide on that a little bit later on, but that is important to mission partners because DISA does not have that Title 10 authority. So as DISA Director, he's not able to direct mission partner forces, but as jfhq-dodin commander, some of that direction does come down through jfhq-dodin to the services and agencies. In the center, we have what we call the Fifth Estate, and these are entities that are supporting either a particular customer, such as the White House Communications Agency all the way on the right, or they support DoD for a specific topic, such as DoDin readiness and security inspections. So DoDin readiness and security inspections is involved in the command cyber CCR readiness inspections. So if you've heard of a CCRI, that is an inspection that looks to identify, is this environment, this network or infrastructure, is it compliant with regulations? As we heard yesterday, DISA is trying to refocus on operational readiness. And so there's a new inspection. It's called the CCORI, the Command Cyber Operational Readiness Inspection, that will evaluate not just are we compliant, but if you are out of compliance and that vulnerability is exploited, what is the operational impact to the mission partner? So this is a very different set of data that commanders can use to identify what do they need to do differently in their infrastructure to better secure their infrastructure. So that's our Fifth Estate. Then we have the left side, right side, and it was asked yesterday, what is the difference between the left side, right side? The left side is the interface to our mission partners. It is where we receive requirements, we receive questions, information requests. Those will all come into the Development and Business Center on the left-hand side. They may develop new services, and so those services, once they are completed, they'll be handed off to the right-hand side. Okay, the Operations Center, which is there to sustain, operate, and secure our existing services. So they may evolve those services as well. So there is some development on the right side in that respect, the evolution or updating, upgrading of services. And so our mission partner focus down at the bottom, you see our customer contacts. That's really the key area here. The Mission Partner Engagement Office is the entity or the group within DISA that receives those mission partner requests for information. They will assist in a variety of different areas to support mission partners. We have a couple slides on that down the road, so I'm not going to stay on that here. Strategic Communications oversees the website, another single point of entry, really, or initial point of entry for mission partners to find the information on the on mission partner engagement team. You go to the website to find that information out. So Strategic Communications supports communications with the mission partners. A lot of our resources also are found there on the DISA website, and so that's an important area that needs to be maintained. The next two are associated with business development or with development of new services, and there's two different ways that DISA develops services. One is through the CTO Innovation Services Engineering and Architecture Office, and they are looking at new technologies, at innovative technologies, to identify what's out there that we can utilize and put in our networks that would support, support and make more efficient our networks for mission partners. The other way that we develop services is through the Requirements and Analysis Office, and they are receiving requirements from mission partners to identify what do they need, what do our mission partners need that we don't yet provide. So that could be a completely new service that's requested, or it could be a significant upgrade to an existing service, like a new capability added on to enterprise email or one of the other services that we offer. So that's on the left side. Those are our Development and Business Center customer contacts. On the right-hand side, we also have customer contacts, and we'll start from the far right, the field commands and field offices. So DISA field commands, there are 5, one in each theater. So DISA Europe, DISA PAC, DISA CENT, and DISA Global, which is in CONUS. We also have the Joint Staff Support Center as a field command, and that's at the Pentagon, supporting the Joint Staff and also supporting all residents at the Pentagon. We also have the DISA field offices, which are dedicated support to a mission partner, so to a COCOM, a combatant command. So the DISA STRATCOM field office understands the STRATCOM mission. They understand their capabilities, their resources, the frustrations or the problems that they encounter, so they are better able to serve and support the combatant command, that combatant command. So that's the idea behind field offices. There's another type which we'll hit on the next slide. The DISA Command Center does not usually coordinate directly with end users, but they are dedicated and focused in on high-value issues. They get briefings and give briefings to the director on a weekly basis or more often if necessary, so they are really tracking if there's an outage or if there's a problem that has high visibility or is impacting a very important mission. There are a lot of resources that are put to that. And then finally, the Global Service Desk, which is our help desk essentially to support any mission partner service, any services that our mission partners are using from DISA. If there are any issues with those, there's now one phone number for them to call, 844-DISA-HLP is that phone number through Global Service Desk. So Global Service Desk is correctly in the Operations Center because DISA must operate, maintain, secure, so if there are operational issues, that is channeled up through Global Service Desk. All right. So DISA, to provide support to our mission partners, is situated around the world. We have about 13,000 personnel, 7,000 of those are government and military, and a little over 6,000 are contractors. A little over half are stationed at headquarters, 52% are at headquarters. The remaining 48% are distributed around the world. And this is a build side because in the end it's quite busy. We'll see where DISA is around the world. So the next area that we see are the operations centers. The DISA Command Center is at headquarters, and they are co-located with Joint Force Headquarters-dod. So they have a little bit different focus. The DCC is looking at the DISN and maintaining availability and security of the DISN. And jfhq-dodin, they're looking at the DODIN, so they look beyond the point of presence where DISA meets the mission partner, into the mission partner environment. That's jfhq-dodin. We also have the Global Operations Command and the other operations centers that provide that global oversight and management of the DISN network around the world, that DISN infrastructure around the world. Next, we have our field commands and field offices. So our field offices support either a particular customer or the other type of field office is supporting an area of responsibility. So we have several of those in the Pacific Theater. The Pacific Theater spans 16 time zones, so the benefit of having a DISA field office on each landmass is that there are dedicated DISA personnel on that landmass to support those mission partners on that landmass within their own time zone, so they're not having to juggle great delays in time changes. Okay. Specialized support we provide through different organizations. Defense Spectrum Organization is looking at spectrum issues. The Joint Interoperability Test Command, JITIC, is in both DISA headquarters and out at Fort Huachuca. They are doing testing, interoperability testing. They also do operational support, especially for tactical missions. They can recreate a tactical environment and do troubleshooting if you're out deployed. That is a service that they can also provide. Joint Service Provider is new service for DISA. That's desktop support at the Pentagon. That will start in October. And then DITCO, we only show with one location. DITCO is actually around the world. That is providing, DITCO is the Defense Information Technology Contracting Organization. They provide contracting support for DoD around the world. So there are many offices. They have personnel that speak multiple languages to be able to support requirements in different regions. Finally, we have our data centers. There are currently 10 data centers around the world, and one of those will be closing here in the next few months down in Georgia. So these data centers are where we host our enterprise and computing services. It's where JRSS is hosted, the Joint Regional Security Stacks. These are formerly known as DECs, the Defense Enterprise Computing Centers, if you've heard that term before. They are now incorporated into the ecosystem, which I believe was a brief this morning if you're able to see ecosystem. If not, and you have an interest in that data center and the hosting there are personnel at the DISA booth that can speak more to that. And there is, just the first time I saw this slide, it said in the notes, you can run, but you can't hide. DISA's all around.
That is it. So mission partners, we hear the term a lot. What exactly is a mission partner and who do we serve? So there is a definition, and I found it. Mission partners are those with whom DoD cooperates to achieve national goals, such as other departments and agencies of the U.S. government, state and local governments, allies, coalition members, host nations, other nations, NGOs, and of course the private sector. Bear in mind, too, DISA may work with folks that you wouldn't normally think of as a mission partner if we're doing, let's say, humanitarian aid or something like that. So as we go around, of course, the military services, really, since we are a combat support agency, that's primarily the reason we're there. We certainly work with the executive branch, president, vice president, Secret Service, federal government. As Sharon mentioned, we have offices at every combatant command for their support, and a lot of DoD agencies and other organizations that we support.
Okay, so how we support those mission partners, once again, the interface for supporting the mission partners is through the Development and Business Center. This is where we develop services. We handle customer relationship management. Okay, so we ensure that the customer is supported in the way that they need to be supported. One of DISA's goals is to provide spectacular service. All right, so we want customers not to be satisfied, but very satisfied with their service. And there's a number of different areas here that we provide these services, and again, the mission partner contact offices, mission partner engagement office, the development offices, and strategic communications.
So some of the portfolios that are in DBC, and again, as we go over these, different parts of DISA deal with different programs. Often a program is handled or has many different organizations involved with it. But under Development and Business Center, some of the C2 programs, which are really crucial for warfighters, these are what we call GEECS-J, Global Command and Control System, Global Combat Support System, and so forth, have to do with imagery, intel, status of forces, logistics, moving troops and equipment, making sure things are at the right place at the right time. Supplies are there as well. There's also joint planning execution services. That's for planning and execution of joint missions. So it's a pretty important category. Cybersecurity falls in this realm. They're working on JRSS. How many folks have heard of JRSS? People pretty familiar with it? Okay. So again, here we're trying to take what was a local base post camp stack of security equipment and move it up a level to a regional center that's more standardized. We have a number of these around the world to take care of security. Okay, pretty crucial and kind of follows in the what we call the JIE construct. We'll get to that here in just a minute. A good bit of DoDin cybersecurity kind of falls within the DBC purview, particularly development for many of these programs. Unified capabilities, the email, chat, collaboration, voice, video, follow on to that, DIOS. Business systems, something that we don't talk too much about, but they are pretty crucial. Falls within DBC. And then, of course, mobility. Again, a very big area that DISA is working very hard on. Trying to make available whatever you can get at your desktop to have that available on your mobile device. And to make that work, and we talked a little bit about yesterday, without CAC, there are different soft credentials and things like that we're working on, again, with industry as well. Okay, so development, of course, is one area of
DBC, and then the Mission Partner Engagement Office handles new service development, the introduction of that, or the decision where is that going to fall. That didn't sound right. That didn't come out right. So where new service development, what services are we going to develop through the Requirements and Analysis Office? So the single point of entry for Mission Partners, this is the interface to Mission Partners. They will provide assistance in identifying services, in clarifying requirements with the Mission Partner. So Mission Partner may not know exactly what they need. They can come to MPEO. They will help them refine those requirements to identify the specific service that they need. And if it is a service that DISA offers, they'll hand them off to the right side to an existing service where they can then go through the process to order that service. And in many instances, that process includes a service request form. So requirements definition, then service request forms down there on the left, and the MPEO team will assist the Mission Partner in filling out those service request forms as well. Another area here is to track the service deployment so that once that request has been made, MPEO will track that through deployment for the Mission Partner until they're actually using that service. It's more efficient. We have teams that are dedicated to support particular customers, and those are the outreach teams, which is our next slide. The last thing I want to point out here, though, before we go on, is advocating for Mission Partners. So DISA, the MPEO receives, they are the conduit for feedback from Mission Partners. There's an annual survey that they do, and they really look at the responses from Mission Partners and have made a number of changes affiliated with those responses. One of those is the implementation of the liaison officers that are embedded with Mission Partners to provide DISA on-site DISA support. So we have those at DLA, we have them at DFAS. Each of the services have one in the PEO arena of that service. And the DoD CIO also has a liaison officer, so somebody who knows DISA, DISA's mission, DISA's capabilities that can support that Mission Partner. So that was one of the outcomes that came from that survey. So if you have the opportunity to do the survey, we highly recommend that you do provide your feedback. DISA really reviews that to identify what we can do differently to better support our Mission Partners. One other area for advocating for Mission Partners is DISA has resources, MPEO has resources inside of DISA, where Mission Partners are on the outside. They don't necessarily have all the avenues that they can pursue, but MPEO can pursue and be the advocate for that Mission Partner from inside of DISA, so an extra level of support. So the MPEO outreach teams, if you look for them on the website, they're actually called engagement executives. You won't find outreach teams listed per se, and you can see it in the website there, how to contact those engagement executives. They have a number of responsibilities. They assist with, this is the team that will assist with requirements definition. They'll assist with the service request forms. They'll provide resolution or work the resolution if there are persistent issues, and improving teamwork, that helps them identify, as we communicate with Mission Partners, helps identify what are the new services, what is the direction that DoD is moving that we need to, in which we need to move as well.
So the Operations Center, as Sharon mentioned, once you have a service, Operations Center maintains and sustains that service and evolves the service and the network. So we have a couple different parts to operations. There's the Infrastructure Directorate, and in this directorate, they are primarily concerned with the DISN, Defense Information Systems Network, or sometimes you'll hear it referred to as the DODIN core. Okay? This is quite a network. We'll look at this here in just a minute in the next slide coming up. But thinking about what does it look like now, how do we want to involve all the technical decisions, all the equipment that goes into the DISN, I call it the care and feeding. But if you think about all the points around the world that we have to take care of, operate, secure, it's quite a feat. A lot of things are going on, upgrades to transport, upgrades to our services so that the network has to support that. As we move towards cloud services, for example, example, where our network connects to our cloud service providers, things like our mobile services, and thinking about, okay, where in the network is that going to connect? So there's a lot there. The Services Directorate, primarily responsible for delivering enterprise and computing services to our mission partners across the world. They spend a lot of time thinking about what services do we have now, how should we evolve those, also what needs to go end of life as technology moves on, and so forth. And then we have a portion of the Operations Center that operates and assures the DISA. This is in the older construct of DISA. This was what we used to call the Operations Directorate. Okay? Within that falls the DISA Command Center. The field commands and field offices kind of report up to that as well. So they support U.S. Cyber Command in its mission to secure, operate, and defend the DoD. There are some of the portfolios that Operations Center has. Again, defensive cyber services. You'll find the DISA Command Center there. Again, the regional commands, field offices, the communications infrastructure. So everything that has to do with the DISN, transport, including Satcom, our gateways, mission partner environment. We'll talk a little bit about that, working with our coalition partners, allies, and then all the engineering, or at least a good portion of the engineering that goes into it, performance management, configuration management, and so forth. We also have enterprise and data center services. Kind of fall under here. Our new ecosystem, which I'm sure you've probably heard a little bit about now, what we used to refer to as our DEX. Okay, now we've changed that. We have lines of business, and it falls in an ecosystem. So we're working on standardization, also a single point of contact for whatever service it is that might be running. And it really doesn't matter where your service is, which specific data center. We also have the Global Service Desk, as Sharon mentioned, falls under OC.
Okay, so the Infrastructure Executive, one of their main focus areas is to manage and evolve and secure the DISN. Mm-hmm. So this is the definition. This is where we identify DISN and DoDin. What's the distinction between the two? So the DoDin, you see the definition on the slide, the end-to-end set of information capabilities, associated processes, and support personnel. So what we can do, how we do it, who's doing this, to collect, process, store, disseminate, and manage information on demand for our warfighters, policymakers, and support personnel. So the DoDin includes all devices, all equipment that is used to store, process, manage information for the DoD and the intelligence community. So everything down to your government-issued cell phone is part of the DoDin. Okay, and so that is, DISA does not have the responsibility, DISA does not have the responsibility for or operational control of the DoDin. DISA does have management and control over the DISN, which is a subset of that DoD information network. Okay, so the DISN is the DISA managed portion of the architecture. It supports, the mission partners come into the DISN at DISA points of presence around the world, and that's the line of distinction between the DISN and the DoDin. The DoDin is the Title 10. That's where jfhq-dodin is overseeing out into the mission partner arena, as well as oversight of the DISNs. Was that clear? Does that make sense? Okay. So now the third element here we have is the Internet. The DISN itself creates an intranet. So DoD, if we had no connections to the Internet, we would still be able to communicate globally because we have this global infrastructure deployed to support mission partner communications, or our military communications. We add that element or that connectivity to the Internet, and that gives us access anywhere in the world, really, for our mission partners. So that's the third element.
So we'll take a little bit closer look at the DISN, okay? And this is quite a network. So kind of start, I got my little pointer. I use my cool tools here. All right, so starting down here. Joint regional security stacks we mentioned, again, connections there, securing our information. As we go around, you can see how many different parts and pieces are involved. And again, this is kind of a 1,000-foot overview. So here we have operations centers. We have different types of operations centers regional operations centers, and then our global operations center as well. And they are crucial to the operation of the network, also securing the network too. We have connections to our wireless providers, right? One of the big pieces that we're trying to make work as well as we can is that mobility piece. So if we have a phone, these phones work on all the carriers, Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. So we have gateways into the DISA for our mobile service providers so folks can get to NIPRNet and SIPRNet. Right? As Sharon mentioned, up here we have connections to the internet. Okay, so the DISA is separate from the internet, but we do have connections at what we call internet access points. At those points, there's, as you can imagine, a lot of equipment, a lot of security-related equipment to manage those connections back and forth as well. And boy, I'll tell you, there seems to be an insatiable need for more bandwidth. I don't know if it's like that in your company, but the DoD uses, they use a lot of bandwidth. Pretty critical. We have gateways for our voice internet service providers. We have gateways to other mission partners, coalition partners, allies, our cloud service providers, the access points there into the DISA. So all of that is managed. We take a look at, how big do those circuits need to be, the whole process of getting a circuit set up. We also have our data centers. Okay, again, we used to call these decks. Now we refer to them as data centers in an ecosystem. But those are connected and part of the DISA. And then over here, we, as one of the crucial services, need to be able to extend forward the voice, video, data, cloud services to our tactical units, deployed warfighters, or strategic units that aren't, local. So Satcom is crucial for us. So we have a number of what we call Satcom Gateways. These kind of fall into what we call enterprise gateways, the big picture, a number of different types of those. That's one of the areas where this has worked very hard is Satcom Evolution. So you think about this, and here we work with a number of different partners, a lot of the military services, the commercial world, in making this Satcom happen. So we have been for a number of years and continue to evolve our gateways. Many of you, or some of you, may have heard of the STEP and teleport systems. Teleport, very crucial to us. So we're evolving the gateways a bit. Now we're calling them large and small gateways, looking at where they are around the world, making sure that wherever, particularly the warfighter is, he or she can have access and get the information they need. We're doing some convergence, some modernization, working with other people to make sure that we get this together, and certainly our commercial partners too. There's a lot of Satcom there, so pretty crucial for us. Okay. How many people have heard of JIE? Raise your hand. All right, those of you who haven't, it's coming to a theater near you. So this is pretty crucial, and we try in the class to explain a little bit of what this is and really what it means. Why should I care? Okay, and for us as DISA, the JIE is a framework, and I explain it to you. I kind of put it in this way. There are a couple quick bullet points. We're trying to do a number of things here. We're trying to standardize our security architecture. Okay, so we have things like what we call the Joint Regional Security Stacks, JRSS. We're working very hard on standardizing our transport architecture. Okay, simplifying the architecture. The way it has been has worked great, but as technology moves on, the boxes and the equipment that we get can do a lot more things. We don't need quite as many, or some of the boxes are great. So, where we have these and the type of equipment we look at, we try to streamline, make it run faster, and of course, less expensive, right? The other thing that we're trying to do with JIE is move towards enterprise services, okay? Again, these are typically services that multiple military services or mission partners use. Email might be an example of those. Consolidating our data centers is another part of that. So again, this JIE, we wind up, it's kind of a framework or construct of shared IT infrastructure, shared data, enterprise services, single security architecture, and again, trying to make it more efficient, more secure, and increase efficiency. One of the other things we try to do is synchronize defense, pretty crucial too. Okay? And that part of DISA operations in the DISA Operations Center, primarily what we call the DISA Command Center, and this is a snapshot here, so you can kind of guess just by all the monitors what they do, right? The first thing they want to do is see what's going on, right? They need to see what crucial missions across the network. They need to understand what might affect those missions, decide what to do, and then direct a particular DISA entity to take action. jfhq-dodin works very closely with the DISA Command Center, so if it needs to go out to the military services, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and so forth, jfhq-dodin might say, hey, this is going on, we need you to do this, right? So that's the DISA Command Center. Again, underneath the DCC fall our Net Ops centers, the field commands, field offices. Global Service Desk is also run by operations as well.
Okay, so we finally get into services. So one of the services, actually we've discussed already, some of the service that DISA provides, and that's just in maintenance and oversight of the network. So we have 24/7 operations that Andy was just speaking to maintain and sustain availability and security of that network. So the services that mission partners can order, you can find on the DISA.mil website. And so this is a snapshot of the homepage. You can see in the yellow bar there the different categories of services that mission partners can go to. And we have over 85 services listed currently on the website, and then there's 6 or 7 that are emerging services, so not quite available yet, but coming soon, as Andy says, to a theater near you. Okay, so some benefits of going to the DISA.mil website, let me just point out all the way on the left is the About tab. If you go to About, Contact Us, that's where you would find the engagement executives. Our class is under News and Events. If you go there, there's a training link under News and Events, and you can find the web page for our class and how to register for that class. And so we're just going to run through the different categories of services now, starting with enterprise services. So to define enterprise services, these are centrally hosted, managed, and provided applications, infrastructure, and/or identity and access management that are available across the entire Department of Defense, communications architecture, regardless of where you are in the world. So you can access these services from anywhere. They are managed or centrally located, so DISA is hosting them. That means the mission partner does not need to host them in their local site. Probably one of the most famous examples is the Defense Enterprise Email, DEE, has now been deployed to almost 2 million. There are almost 2 million accounts in DEE. That's a combination of both the unclassified and classified accounts of DEE. And Defense Enterprise Email allowed those mission partners that are subscribed to it to eliminate the servers that are in their own local location, their own base, post, camp, or station. They no longer have to maintain those email servers, update them, upgrade them, secure them, and so on. So that is one of the beauties of enterprise services, and one of the reasons that JIE is really focused in on enterprise services, because it's a cost-saving measure, and it enables us to standardize and be more secure, enabling DoD to be more flexible as changes are made. We implement them in one location instead of in multiple locations across the department. So there are 4 categories of services here. Applications is one. You may be familiar with several of these. Enterprise email, of course. Enterprise portal service has been mentioned a number of times today. ATAPS, we all like getting paid, right? So that's time and attendance. It's a web-based service that you can, your employees can subscribe. You can subscribe to as an agency. Your employees then sign into ATAPS. We also have video services, global video services, which are both desktop and room-based. I learned something today. The desktop-based is not separately charged. Okay, so you're able to use desktop-based GVS with no extra charge. The room-based services is a separate fee for mission partners. And that video service, that we also have TSSCI video services. Mobility, a variety of resources there. The mobility program we're going to highlight here in just just a minute, so I'll come back to that. And then finally, identity and access management. This is ensuring that the appropriate personnel are able to access the services that they need, or they have authentication. It's our PKI, PKE, and a variety of other services to ensure that that capability for mission partners. Okay, and so we'll highlight mobility because this is one of DISA's focus areas, is the mobile capabilities. We have 52,000 mobile users under DMUC, Defense Mobile Unclassified Capability, and what DISA provides with that is the gateway into the DISN, so you can access your DEE, you can access the different services that you need. You actually go out and buy your own phone, you buy your own service plan, and then you coordinate with DISA to obtain that service, the mobile unclassified service. DMCC, Defense Mobile Classified Capability, is a little different in that you actually get the phone from DISA. There's a mobile hotspot that you obtain with that, and DISA provides all of that for the mission partner because we have to manipulate the phone a little bit. They turn off the camera and a few other things for security. There's also a top secret pilot going on right now. The first two participants in that were a 3-star and a 4-star, so a very popular pilot. That is a voice-only pilot, so it will only be TS, and I believe it's not SCI, just TS voice services through that. Okay, next is computing services, another category of service that DISA provides through our data centers. There are three areas here. Hosting is we provide both mainframe and server hosting. Mainframe is for high requirements processing, high processing power applications that you might need, so financial applications or mathematical computations you would put on a mainframe. There are a few more capabilities that are standard with a mainframe hosting, such as COOP, the Continuity of Operations plan. There's a backup plan associated with mainframe hosting. Server hosting used not as much for batch processing, for example. That would be up on mainframe hosting. But both of these are hosting services where you're essentially contracting out your IT to DISA. So these are hosted at the data centers. Mission partners, then DISA provides part of the platform on which the mission partner's applications can run, and the mission partner will host their application there. DISA takes care of the equipment, of STIGing, the standardized tactical, what is STIG? Standardized Technical Security Implementation Guide. So the requirements for how the security is set up on those equipment, DISA will take care of some of that for the application the mission partner takes care of. And then finally we have cloud services, and I'm going to jump to the cloud page here. DISA provides several areas of cloud support. So one is MilCloud, and that is the DISA-provided cloud. It is the standard platform that is pre-stigged, so mission partners can come in and acquire this service very, very quickly. You can actually start using your cloud service in 3 days, depending on what your requirement is. You can purchase this with a DoD credit card. So there's some efficiencies that have been achieved with the MilCloud environment. Many mission partners use this to test out certain things. So if you have you don't know if you want to move forward in a certain project, you can try it out for a couple weeks, a couple months, and identify if this is something you need, and then you can release that service. You don't have to invest in buying the equipment and implementing that. Another area that DISA provides support with cloud is cloud services support. Mission partners can host their applications and capabilities in commercial cloud, but there are regulations associated with hosting in commercial cloud, and DISA will assist mission partners through that cloud services support in identifying and ensuring that they meet those requirements. Okay, network services, another category, lots and lots of services in this category of service. So content delivery is for web content. It accelerates the accessibility of your web content by distributing servers around the world that will draw down that web content to a local region. So if you have 100 people in CENTCOM trying to draw down the same information, instead of all 100 coming back to the data center in CONUS, there'd be one or two servers in that region that would be drawing that information down to the local region, and then those customers can access it from that local server. It's a lot quicker for them to download that information, a lot less bandwidth required across the pond. Data services, these are probably the most well-known services that DISA provides, NIPRNet and CIPRNet. JWIX is actually managed by DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency. NIPRNet stands for the Unclassified but Sensitive IP or Internet Protocol Router Network. CIPRNet is the Secret Internet Protocol Router Network, and JWIX stands for Joint Worldwide Intelligence Communication System. So this is our IP data networks. It shows you the parentheses NIPRNet, CIPRNet, JWIX, and here's a little hint on how to maneuver the website. DISA changed the name of certain services when they created the service catalog to reflect what the actual service is. So it does say on the DISA website, formerly known as NIPRNet. NIPRNet is actually the network itself. So you can't order NIPRNet, although you can order NIPRNet service, okay, and that is known as SBU IP Data Service. That's the unclassified IP service that you order. So just one of those little idiosyncrasies to keep our mission partners on their toes. Okay. Messaging services, voice services, we talked about transport, dedicated transport. We didn't talk about voice services, did we? This is providing a number of enterprise services, and the difference between enterprise voice service and the traditional DSN or Defense Switch Network service is that the call manager is in the DISA data center. It's not on the mission partner's base. Okay, and so that's what we're trying to move to. Once again, enterprise service, DISA providing that service dial tone down to the desktop. Satellite services, I believe Andy will talk about in just a second. And the last one is VPN or virtual private networks. And VPNs, this is not the telework VPN where you're connecting to your home network. This is actually a community of interest that's created across the wide area network or the DISN backbone, allowing multiple participants to connect as though they're part of a smaller group. And the VPN services, there are many different flavors. The primary distinction here, these are mission partner managed. So if you order a private IP service, for example, that mission partner is managing who connects and what services are available through that community of interest and so on. Some of these are managed by DISA, but most of them are managed by the mission partner.
So Satcom, we work with many different organizations to make Satcom happen. There are a couple different areas. We talked just a little bit about the gateways, the gateway portfolio. We call it right-sizing, changing that. AISR, Airborne Intel, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance, another pretty critical piece for us to get that information to the warfighter, help with the exchange of that information. So we've been working a lot in that area with SOCOM, CENTCOM, AFRICOM, EUCOM, PACOM, making sure that can happen, and trying to look at, hey, how can we provide this service in the best way possible as quick as we can do it. So a lot of work going on there. EMSS, our satellite phones and Satcom capability, again, working with our commercial partners to make that happen. ComSatcom as well, a lot of commercial service providers in the satellite arena. And then, of course, we also have to make this happen, we go from one end to the other. So we have folks at the gateways, what we call our connexes, contingency and exercise groups working at our gateways. We have not part of DISA, but we work with the regional satellite support centers, thinking about which satellites are we going to use and all the technical details that go with that. So there's a lot that goes on here to make sure it happens and then to keep it secure. Cybersecurity is another big area, of course, that DISA is working on with our mission partners, coalition partners in industry. A couple broad categories. We have analytics. Tools like Acropolis are really good. Monitoring, analysis, capability for NIPR and CIPR, takes in a lot of information from various other tools that we have, kind of provides a dashboard. Incident management, GIMS, is really neat for joint incident management of events. In assessments and inspections, EMAS is a workflow tool that DISA uses and mission partners will use in the connection approval process. When you're connecting to the DISN, that's one of the tools that's available to help manage all the requirements of that. There's IA analysis, assessments and authorizations. DISA goes out and does a number of inspections, visits, CCRIs, the newer CCORIs that we talked a little bit about. That kind of takes the risk and the threat into account as well. Those fall in that categories. Net defense, you may be familiar with a number of these: antivirus, anti-spyware. Again, we work with very closely with our mission partners, commercial and private industry to make this happen. ACAS, CSSP is one area that DISA has been working very hard at. This is what we call a Tier 2, used to be CNDSP, now CSSP, Cybersecurity Service Provider. So we offer that as a service, again, kind of protecting, detecting things that shouldn't be there, and helping out with the analysis. A number of different endpoint security solutions. Okay, what we refer to as the HBSS, host-based security system, would fall into that category. Cross-domain solutions, that typically happens at our data centers. So that's where we're connecting networks of different security domains. If somebody's on CIPR and they need to pull something up from NIPR, they might use a CDES, that's an enterprise service, this version of it, or we refer to it as a guard. Sometimes. And then the secure configuration guidance piece, that refers typically to our STIGs and security requirement guides that DISA puts out. We'll show you a page here in just a couple slides, which is a wonderful resource for anything security related.
All right, mission support services directly tie to DISA's strategic goal of providing leadership, C2 and leadership support for our mission partners. Okay, so these are information sharing capabilities or like contracting, for example, that support mission partner requirements and support our budgetary constraints as well. So under the contracting environment, we have JLAs, Joint Enterprise Licensing Agreements. We also have EIS, Enterprise Services Initiative, I think that's Services Initiative. Okay, and so these are contracts that allow, or they standardize the contract information. So if you're ordering Microsoft services, for example, what you will receive from that is standardized in the contract. And then the JLA is a single, providing a joint enterprise licensing agreement, which provides a single contract vehicle that anyone in DoD can access and utilize, and that brings costs down overall because we leverage we leverage the amount of business that we do with that agency or organization. I think Andy spoke to Spectrum Enterprise Engineering, JCSS, that's the picture there, Joint Communication Simulation System. This is a modeling tool available free of charge to mission partners. If you want to add 100 radios to your tactical network, you can model and see what the impact of adding those 100 radios would have on your network. So just a useful tool for mission partners. Testing, interoperability, certification, that's through the JITC or the JITC, Joint Interoperability Test Command. Those are some of our mission support services. And then finally, command and control, C2 capabilities such as Global Command and Control System, Global Combat Support System. JPES is the Joint Planning and Execution Services, and then Multinational Information Sharing is the last one. There is a table right here at the DISA booth that has personnel from all of those to support or answer any questions if you have questions on those. So for MNIS, the Multinational Information sharing, this is a subset of MPEIS, the Mission Partner Environment Information System. So MNIS is a collection of five or six different programs used to support mission partners, and they're anything from testing across coalition boundaries to CMNT is a VPN or a virtual private network allowing different coalition partners to communicate with DISA. Our UISS-APAN is an unclassified web page, for example, that allows chat and other collaboration capabilities on it, and that's often used in disaster recovery or humanitarian support. So DISA manages these different services to support our coalition and C2 requirements. Okay, and finally, resources. So this is one of the key elements of our course is we provide a lot of resources, where to go, what other resources are out there. There's a variety of different training capabilities. And then portals. DISA does several different portals that are outstanding in providing all kinds of support directly for mission partners. The first resource, though, is the DISA website, disa.mil, that you can get to any service that we offer or how to get help in the different categories of drop-down. There's tabs that talk about what the service is, what are the features of that service, maybe the benefits, how to order that service. So how to order, you can either call a mission partner or contact your engagement executive, but first you can go to the DISA website and find that how to order tab, and it will tell you, it will direct you to how to order a service. So this is the first one. What we see here is our DISA Services Course webpage. Again, if you scroll to the bottom of the page, there's a training link, or you can go to News and Events, there's the same training link, and then DISA Services Course. And that will tell you, it has our group mailbox and tell you what our schedule is for the rest of the year. The Mission Partner Portal is a resource for our mission partners that have any mission partner. There's a lot of resources on it, the rate books, organizations. There's specific information about the different services and the products that they have ordered. You can find service level agreements. If you have a computing service that you've ordered, there'll be service level agreement posted on the page. Planning estimates are posted there. Capacity reports you can find there. So this is a good resource for our mission partners.
IAFCEA is a fantastic website for everything related to cybersecurity. So if you're looking for training on cyber tools, great place to go. A lot of the topics that you see on the left, a number of which we covered. If you're looking for things like the Cloud Computing Security Requirements Guide, or the Connection Process Guide, you'll find them here. Our STIG, Security Technical Implementation Guides, you'll find them there. So wonderful place. They also have working groups and things like that. Fantastic resource.
Anything you need with mobility, you can find at the Mobility User Corner. There's also a blog for mission partners to communicate or post questions, and the mobility team responds very, very quickly. You can find the list of available or approved equipment, so cell phones, either iOS or Android, tablets, what's available, what's approved. There's over 300 apps that are listed on this website that you can also identify to download to your phone. Some of those are military apps, some are personal use apps or nice to have apps as well, so another feature.
Yep. And finally, what we call applets, which is kind of the gateway to what we call the approved products list. So this is a comprehensive list of products that have completed cybersecurity and interoperability testing. So critical for mission partners to check the APL before they purchase products. This has information on what's on the APL, how to get products on the APL, the testing, what's in the pipeline, and also what's going end of life. So fantastic resource. Okay, there is kind of a CAC restricted section. There's also an open section where you can get to the list. So that does it for our course. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, we'll be around for a little bit.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate all you do to support our mission partners and our warfighters. Have a great lunch.